your mind. Open your mind.
Another war, folks. It was Albert Pike who laid out the plan for 3 world wars. 1, to open up Palestine. 2, to form a state in Palestine between the 2nd and 3rd, to raise the Arab world and the world of Israel. And once they were armed and ready, and the world was siding on one side or another, they would form an international war. And that war is on our horizon today.
Death will come to all of us. Especially soldiers. You give your life away so others will live. And take life where only God can give it.
This is an extraordinary period for America's economy. The government's top economic experts warn that without immediate action by Congress, America could slip into a financial panic and a distressing scenario would unfold. More banks could fail, including some in your community. The stock market would drop even more, which would reduce the value of your retirement account. The value of your home could plummet. Foreclosures would rise dramatically. And if you own a business or a farm, you would find it harder and more expensive to get credit. More businesses would close their doors, and millions of Americans could lose their jobs. Even if you have good credit history, it would be more difficult for you to get the loans you need to buy a car or send your children to college. And ultimately, our country could experience a long and painful recession. Fellow citizens, we must not let this happen.
We are in the midst of crisis is now well understood. Our nation is at war against a far-reaching network of violence and hatred. Our economy is badly weakened, a consequence of greed and irresponsibility on the part of some, but also our collective failure to make hard choices and prepare the nation for a new age. We will restore science to its rightful place, and we will harness the sun and the winds and the soil to fuel our cars and run our factories, and we will transform our schools and colleges and universities to meet the demands of a new age.
an uprising, the people uprise, the governments begin to clamp down on the uprising, then the media goes there and begins to film from CNN, BBC and all these things. Then they begin to call for democracy. And then, of course, you know, what better word to use for the West? We want democracy. And the West is happy to think, well, wait a minute, maybe what we are having here is Islamic democracy. So Islamic democracy is like saying capitalistic communism. It doesn't exist. So the West is basically fooled by the words of democracy. 75% of the Egyptian government now is, in the parliament, is Muslim fundamentalist. And then, of course, after they take over the government, out with democracy. In the Middle East, yeah, sure, they'll use democracy. It's one man, one vote, once. And that's it.
I will not wait on events while dangers gather. I will not stand by as peril draws closer and closer.
Russia obviously is very, very important, whether it's Putin or Medvedev or the two of them working together. You have to make sure that the men leading Russia as a nation are there to fight against the interests of Bilderberg Group, which is one of the things that Yeltsin, when he was the president, obviously didn't do. He turned the country over to these people and they almost destroyed Russia and the nation. And you have to understand that as long as Russia stands in the way of the Bilderberg Group and their allies, you will not have one world order or one world company, because I have Russia and China, both very different interests from the interests of the Bilderberg Group.
Поэтому действительно нужно по-настоящему, как бы это ни было сложно и трудно, заниматься созданием нового мирового порядка.
Non temere, fidati di Lui. La forza vivificante della sua luce ti incoraggia ad impegnarti nell'edificazione di un nuovo ordine mondiale fondato su giusti rapporti etici ed economici.
we have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
I think this would be the time, because you really need to bring China into the creation of a new world order, financial world order, that China has to be part of the process of creating it, and they have to buy in. Certainly a decline in the value of the dollar is necessary. China will emerge as the motor replacing the US consumer. China will be the engine driving it forward, and the US will be actually a drag that's being pulled along through a gradual decline in the value of the dollar.
Confirms that an explosion has occurred at a U.S. military base in Japan. The explosion happened at the Sagami Depot in the city of Sagamihara.
When he's captured, this Lucifer, this Hilal bin Sahar, he's judged. People will look at him and say, is this the man that made the earth tremble? They say this is the rebelliousness of Lucifer in heaven. When did Lucifer become a man? The anti-Messiah, the Antichrist.
Il mio cuore si rivolge anche ai numerosi rifugiati cristiani, anche tutti noi col nostro cuore rivolgiamoci a loro, ai numerosi rifugiati cristiani provenienti dalla Palestina, dalla Siria e dall'Iraq. Portate alle vostre famiglie e comunità il mio saluto e la mia vicinanza.
We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, or the Nazis, he says here. Those who are working in favor of the Christian world, the atheists who are working against it. And we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clear to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, the origin of savagery, and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, finally out in public view, a manifestation which will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time.